What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Boat Restoration by Ben. On today's episode, we are officially upgrading the engine on my 2021 GMC 2500 Duramax, and today's video is exclusively brought to you by SPE Lab. SPE Lab has provided all of the parts and products that you're going to see today in this video throughout the install, so thank you, SPE Lab. The link to all the parts that I'm using today for these kits to upgrade a 2017 or newer Duramax are in the description, so go down there and check them out. As always, like and subscribe to the channel. And here we go, upgrading the official boat hauler and work truck of the Boat Restoration by Ben channel. All right, here we go. So for starters, if you guys haven't checked it out already, we have already tuned this truck. So go check out the previous video. Before you do any of these upgrades to your 2017 to 2023 Duramax, you need to tune your vehicle. So go back at the previous video, link is in the description as well. Check out the tune video for 2017 through 2023 Duramax diesels. This is crucial and needs to be done before you touch any of the components on your engine. So go check that video out. I've also gone and taken care of the hardware for the exhaust and after treatment underneath the truck. There will be a future 5-inch back straight pipe that will be added. But for today's video, we are just focusing on upgrading the engine itself. So let's go check out the kits we have, and then I will point to on the engine and walk you through step by step on how to replace and upgrade each of these parts and systems on the engines. So first things first, we have the SPE Lab EGR upgrade kit. I believe we have a part number on here. Again, these will all be in the description and linked to the video, but all of the block plates and hoses for coolant and bypass for the EGR upgrade. We also have the CCV reroute kit. So some block plates, coolant bypasses, and hoses for the CCV kit, also provided by SPE Lab, link in the description. A plug kit for some plugs that we will no longer be needing. And then the fun stuff starts to occur. New up pipes from the exhaust manifolds up to the turbocharger. And then, of course, this all wouldn't be happening without a SCR upgrade and a new 3.5-inch downpipe that we'll be adding to the engine. So everything we're doing today is gonna be in the engine bay of the truck. I've got the truck here in my brand new shop, which this will be the first time using the shop itself for any sort of Boat Restoration by Ben project. So pretty sweet, pretty big milestone for me today. And I mean, driveway isn't even done yet, and we just had a big rainstorm. So I drove the truck in here and got things a little bit muddy. I had to put 4-wheel drive on just to get inside the shop, but won't be like that forever. I will have a nice little compact driveway, and not to mention some garage doors at some point here. Right now we're just all open air, but here we go. Engine wise, this is a 2021 Duramax 6.6 liter L5P is the engine code. This is the newest Duramax engine. In 2023 they upgraded a few more components, so this is the 21 through 23. I actually believe it's 2020 through 2023 is when this vintage of engine came out. 2017 through 2019 is pretty similar, but it's going to be a little bit different because the layout of the components and whatnot is different in the engine bay for that body style. For starters, we're going to get rid of this air box. After that, we've got a bunch of heat shielding that needs to come off. Our SCR, which is back here, our EGR recirculation pipe here. We got a throttle valve in here as well that connects to the Y-bridge, which is this cast aluminum part in the middle. We'll be touching these wiring harnesses. We'll be messing with some coolant lines, so I know this coolant line is going to be affected. These two coolant lines back here are going to be affected and rerouted as well. So for starters, we'll dive into it. We are going to start with the EGR upgrade kit. Here we go. Let's remove this air box, open up some room so we can start working on things. We'll remove some connectors and then start tackling some heat shields and of course 10mm bolts on those heat shields. Would not be a proper engine teardown if we didn't have our handy dandy folding table with our tools laid out. So most of what I can do, or most of what we're doing today, can be done with, you know, your standard ratcheting, mechanical ratcheting wrench. I like the Milwaukee 90-degree fuel brushless products here. 3/8 size, and then we've got extension adapters, and then a nice metric and standard 3/8 inch impact socket kit. So that paired with a couple work gloves, some snippers for zip ties, and then of course a pick so we can undo a lot of the connectors. But all right, intake is out. It's real simple. There's one 10mm nut right there, and then one 13mm right there. Pop those off, loosen a couple hose clamps, and that whole assembly just comes right out with the cool little Duramax 6.6 HD. And our air box. This is actually a pretty good air intake, guys. So especially with these forced induction hoods, that's got the old scoop, which is pretty cool. So I know there's upgrade kits for air boxes, but I'm gonna leave it stock for right now because I think this design is pretty kick-ass. But anyway, now that's off. We're gonna pull some heat shielding off, the EGR pipe and valve, and then we're also gonna pull off our turbo intake horn, which you can actually start to see the vanes of the fins of the compressor wheel in the turbo. And before we can take the intake horn off, you can get to one of the bolts. It's a 13mm. There's two. We need to remove the AC compressor and these lines and just fold it over to the side. So there's a couple nuts on this bracket that held our 6.6 Duramax HD little manifold here. So there's a quick popper, pop that. This CAN bus connection pops off, we can fold that over, take this bracket off, take the AC compressor housing off, fold it over, and then we can get to the intake horn bolts. All right, just being real with you guys. You know, this is the stuff you're gonna run into as you're doing this. But this AC compressor, one, you have to take off your accessory belt, obviously. So your tension pulley is, where's my finger? Let's move this thing out of the way. Right down here. So you put a 1/2 inch ratchet on that, tension it down, and then that relieves tension, so you can just flip that belt off the pulley and rest it down below. You don't have to pull it off all the way. But then these three bolts are really easy to get to. This bolt right back here is underneath the compressor line. And you don't want to remove that compressor line because it will literally remove all of your charged coolant from your air conditioning system. So to get to that, I'm actually gonna cut off the top of this bolt, not this one, but the one that's back there, so I can actually get a socket on there. and then break it. I don't need that stud, so that stud can just go away, so we're gonna be careful and cut that up. The other thing too, while you're doing this, is this pipe right here is your charge air pipe that feeds compressed air to your Y-bridge, and then you obviously have your EGR valve in here that then ties in with your throttle. Look at this, it's just got two little, stop it, I got a magnet that's attaching to the truck. You get two little clips here, you pop those clips out, and then this whole piece just slides right off of that connection there. But look, god dang it, look, there's a bunch of like soot and buildup inside of this pipe that's kind of oily. It smells like diesel soot, and I have no doubt that's from the EGR. So once this is upgraded, we will no longer have that issue in the charge pipe. So anyway, this just sits here, flops off to the side. You can just let it rest. There were a couple connectors that I had to pop and unplug. Those all only go to one spot, so when you put it back on, you'll know exactly where they go. So yeah, now, hate to do it, but I'm gonna use my little reciprocating saw, cut that stud off so I can get a socket on there, pop that off, and then fold this whole compressor over. Also, FYI, there were two connectors on the compressor that have just little red release clips, and then they pop right off as well. This harness is actually going to end up flopping out of the way as well eventually, but we'll get to that in a second. Well, I lied. We're not going to do that. This thing won't even fit in that small little space. So it's a 15 millimeter bolt. So I'm actually going to go buy a 15 millimeter open-ended wrench and modify it so I can actually fit it in there and get that nut and bolt off of there without having to cut anything. Pain in the butt, but it's a trip to the hardware store, so that's all right. In the meantime, while I make that trip, I'll go ahead and remove the things on this side. So I'll pull off my heat shielding for right now, get as far as I can, and then go to the hardware store. Look at this madness. Got like a 3-foot extension just to get back here and get that bolt. You can get a wrench on it, but there's not enough room to move anything. So got a big old extension and then my impact back here to actually get those bolts off for this EGR pipe. So, you know, Loctite, of course, is always necessary when you assemble certain things that need Loctite, but that's what made that bolt so hard. It's just a bunch of Loctite on it and a lot of heat. So finally got it out, but just like literally an eighth of a turn at a time. To get to it, I had to do it by hand, unfortunately. But now, this EGR pipe is off. And look at that. Ooh, check that out. Lots of soot. Lots of soot. That's all going into your intake, into your turbo, clogging up your compressor wheels, which is not fun. So what's nice about the EGR upgrade kit is that I don't have to put that back on the truck. And as we remove stuff like that, you know, it becomes apparent that there's a lot more room in here for activities. Okay, so now I believe this comes out with the whole EGR, this big log right here, so I'll have to get to that in a little bit. I need to undo these coolant lines that go to that EGR throttle valve. There's a blocker plate for this that's in the kit. We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's see, I can probably take this throttle off there. Let me go see back here if I actually have a piece for that. Let's see. Not sure. We got some blocker plates, which we'll be using in there. In this kit, this is the CCV reroute. I don't think that has a throttle gap plate. So I believe we're gonna leave the throttle in the truck. It should just be, yeah, nominally, if you guys can see, wide open. But I know that those do need to be removed, because if you're towing and that fails and flaps shut, you could lose all boost and power to your engine, and it's not good. So I know this will get unplugged. I think this plug gets a CAN bus plug, so that'll tell it that it's still there without throwing any engine codes. But I'm probably gonna remove the butterfly valve that's on that. It's pretty easy to do once you pull that throttle off the truck. So at this stage, we're gonna pause. I'm gonna go get that wrench, modify it so I can get the compressor off, and we'll keep chugging along. Almost forgot, we're gonna take the alternator off as well to access a few more things. So this belt, we'll just pop off the top of the pulley here. And then there's four bolts to get it out. So we got this one here. You have to take the bolt out of this fan shroud here so this has a little bit of movement so this bolt can get out all the way. But a couple bolts, or 2 bolts I guess. 2 bolts, take the alternator off, unplug it, set it to the side as well. And before we get too crazy, I'm just gonna go ahead and disconnect both the batteries, since this hard line goes directly to the battery for charging. So we're just gonna disconnect those lines so there's no issues with electricity or anything like that. Same thing for that side. I'm just gonna disconnect the negative on that side. But I'll do the negative here, and then I'll probably take the positive off over here as well, just so that whole alternator can come off and there's no problems. All right, alternator is off and out. There was a 17mm little plastic cap that holds on the positive wire there. I removed that and I just set it off to the side instead of removing it from the battery. The batteries are disconnected now. A couple 10mm negatives are disconnected. And then, like I said, that fan shroud just flexes out a touch, and then I was able to pop it right off. So we're just gonna leave this belt here to hang out. Now we got all this space into this section here so we can get our Y-bridge out. And then, yeah, there's another pipe here that's gonna come out. We got a little blocker for that. So moving in the right direction. I went ahead and took care of that before I got my open-ended 15mm wrench to pull that AC compressor. So next is the AC compressor. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for that 15mm wrench, I'm gonna go ahead and take off. So you see that little sensor right there on the SCR? That's actually gonna get cut off, and we're gonna put a socket over that to take that sensor out. It's gonna add some clearance for us when we go to pull that off. That's gonna be later down the road in this video, but that sensor is connected to this little CAN bus module here. That's actually gonna get removed, and we do not need that anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect that. Looks like 2 bolts, probably 13mm, 12mm, something like that. And that comes off, and then we actually do have a plug for that piece, I believe. I was wrong, they were 10mm, but real quick and easy, they popped right out, and then this thing slid right out. So that's gonna get taken off the truck. And now I can cut like the top half of this sensor here. That way it'll allow me to get, I believe, a 17 or 18 millimeter nut. I'll check back after I cut it and tell you guys what the actual size is. Well, that actually came off without a whole lot of fuss. So there you have it. And I took the module out already, but looks like the size is 22mm. So I should be able to just get my wrench in here and pop that loose. I'm probably gonna have to get a better angle on it. Yeah, for sure. I'm probably gonna go from the top side here so I can push down. Anyway, it's doable. And just to be clear, you take that sensor out so you have more clearance when you remove the SCR, but that's later down the road. Oh yeah. Boom. I like that. Nice and easy, and I don't have to use manual wrenches to pop it out. Now I just gotta reach back here, excuse me. There we go. All right, notable mention. I have been sitting here quarter turn at a time, taking out this back left 15mm bolt for the compressor. And that is all you can do, is literally a quarter turn at a time until that thing is all the way out. I've tried to hand thread it. It's just goobered up enough that it doesn't work well. So, you know, 20 minutes for a bolt, plus buying some new open-ended wrenches that are short and actually fit in this space. That's fun. So anyway, you guys are gonna go through the same struggle, so I figured I might as well show it. And you can't really do anything else until you get this AC compressor out of the way. So sit here, struggle, and say some bad words while you pull this 15mm bolt out, which I literally think I'm on the last thread every single turn, but no, it just keeps going. Just keeps going. Oh, we're close. We're close. All right. Success. Maybe. Oh, there's always something little in the way trying to stop you, like a wire. It's trying to stop me right now. Ah, there we go. Nice. See, you can't even get those bolts out if you wanted to. All right, I'm taking the compressor, folding it over, setting it nicely on top of L battery. And that is where it's gonna sit until it goes back on. And whoo, it's not crimping the hoses or anything like that. So compressor's out of the way. Now let's get in here, disconnect these connectors here, and then we're actually gonna pull this little wire harness out of the way. So Pull this guy off. Did I break that? That's okay. Pull this guy off, lay him over here, and then disconnect these plugs. Let's see if I can do this without losing you guys. We'll disconnect these plugs here. Maybe. Come on, buddy. I might have to get the old screwdriver. Screwdriver. There we go. Flip it from the inside. Let's see what else. We got a couple connectors in the back. Show you here. A couple connectors that are connected to the SCR, and yeah, turbo, the downpipe from the SCR. So we'll disconnect those and pull those up so I can loosen up this entire wire harness, and then take that big guy and pull it forward so the Y-bridge is clear. All right. I got the wiring harness loose, the big one. Now I can take the 2 bolts out for the turbo inlet pipe. Just gonna leave those in there, and then these should just come right off here. This little pipe here, and this hose. Maybe. Doesn't really want to. I see a turbo though. Will it come off the? It's like a crimp band. I don't know. I may just have to put it up out of the way for right now. But actually, I do have to remove the turbo, and the CCV is getting updated later. So, all right. We'll just leave that off to the side for right now. And then you can literally, once you get all your connectors undone, just pull this wiring harness forward and tuck it up here. That way you can get to your 10mm Y-bridge bolts. So we'll grab those next. We're also gonna have to, let's remove that wiring harness too, take off this crossover coolant line. So there's a coolant line that goes over here that's going to get removed, and that will not go back on the truck either. This back one here, there's a wiring harness in the way. So I'm just going to use a swivel to get to it, and then that one down there back by the turbo, use open-ended wrench to get to that. Y-bridge is loose. Alright, coolant line is loose. I don't think I'm going to be using these bolts, but I like putting them back in their holes just in case. And I think I got all the connectors, so now, without losing any Y-bridge bolts, I think this guy can... Oh, is that one still on? I still got one connected. Dang. Stand by. Have to tag team this one. 2 fingers. Get it all the way unthreaded. Close. I got sweat dripping in my eye. We're free. Okay. Nice and easy. Aluminum, it's light, right? Right. Oh, one more wiring harness connected. Of course. 2 more. Oh boy. Well, now I better go ahead and pull all my bolts out so I don't drop them in the damn intake. That's sketchy. That's super sketchy. Should be 8. Oop. Okay. 8 for 8. Okay. There's like these little plastic retainers in there, so maybe try to get those out too so they don't fall in. There's that. Let me pop these connectors off. There's always another connector mounted, and guess what? I don't think the majority of these connector mounts are going to go back into the holes they came out of. And that's just a guess. You know, you guys do what you want. Okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Shit. I pulled 2 wires apart. Really hope they're not for something important. Ah, they are. Damn. That's a bummer. Oh, man. That's for the fuel pump pressure sensor. Shit. Not good. Not good. Alright, now said Y-bridge come out. Let's see here. There we go. Well, Y-bridge is out. Again, they make a performance version of this. However, the stock one's actually pretty good. So I'm gonna leave it how it is. But like I said, I'm gonna remove this butterfly valve because that is for EGR and we're no longer gonna be using that. So I would hate for that valve to get stuck shut. So in the meantime, I'm just gonna pop it off and take the butterfly out. But there you go, we can see a turbo, our intakes. So I'm just gonna shove a couple rags in here. And this was that wire I was complaining about. I pulled that wire apart. And actually, for the Denso fuel pump, it actually goes to the high pressure fuel regulator, which is right down here. And I'm gonna have to pull that connector off and put a new one on before this all goes back together. But I'll do that after everything else is out of the way. Just make a mental note. Okay, up next, EGR. Well, okay, I removed our crossover. We'll leave that for right now. On the 2017s and 19s, it looks a little bit different, so refer to another video for that. But it's gonna be somewhat similar. This is just a different, same engine, but different package on how it fits inside here. So that's done. We're actually gonna remove a few of these coolant lines. So we're gonna remove these coolant lines over here, which go to the EGR. And then we're also gonna take off this pipe. There's 2 10 millimeters up here, and then a 13 millimeter down here. And we actually have a block off plate for that. So we'll pull that out real quick, and then you see my rags in both my intake holes, just so things are blocked up for a bit. All right, now before we remove a bunch of these EGR coolant lines and just spill coolant everywhere like I already started to do, we actually need to drain our radiator and coolant out of the block. So I've got a 5-gallon bucket underneath the truck, and hopefully I can show you guys, but there's a nice handy drain on the right side bottom of the radiator. So that should get most of the coolant out that we need at the very least, so we're not spilling coolant everywhere onto the engine. So I'm gonna loosen up that drain plug, drain the radiator. Nice. If you guys have any questions or comments or concerns throughout the video, just leave them down in the comment. You guys can also shoot me an email. You know, I'm not a diesel channel, but I've messed with a lot of diesels in my lifetime already, and I used to design and develop and test them as well. So lots of this stuff is very common for me, but you may have some questions. But again, Spelab, with the parts that they provide, make this pretty simple. Their tech and customer support is really nice online. So again, those guys are willing to reach out. Those guys are willing to answer any questions that you may have about their products as well when you go through these engine upgrades on your own. All right, well, that's draining. We got a few 10 millimeters to loosen up. So a couple here. We got a 13 mil down on the bottom here where a plug's gonna go. This hose clamp we're gonna remove. These two 10 millimeters can come off. This hose is gonna get removed as well. And then we'll have, I think, 5 13 millimeters to pull off the EGR itself. Get that out of the way, and then we can go after the EGR valve that's down there on the exhaust manifold, which I think is 4 13 millimeter bolts. So coolant's draining. Oh, and also this coolant line as well has to be disconnected from the EGR block there. So that bolt can come off as well. We'll take that line off eventually too here in a little while. Actually, this line's gonna get disconnected and removed entirely. So we'll go through and do all that, pull everything off here, and should open up quite a bit of space. All right, I just loosened up my 4 bolts for the EGR valve. Oh, I got a connector I got to undo. Stand by. Stand by. Moss connector. And yeah, it was 13 millimeter, 4 13 millimeter bolts. Excuse me. It's not the worst amount of space in here, guys. There we go. There's that connector. But it is a little finicky. So let's make sure we got all the bolts. Oh, yep, I'll take this little. Take this out. We got that valve off. We're going to put a plate on that to cap it off. So far, this is everything we've removed for the EGR upgrade. So air intake box, Y-bridge, alternator, and then down here we've got all of the EGR pipes, the EGR cooler, both EGR valves, and turbo inlet pipe, alternator, drain the coolant, and now look at all this space that we have in here. And thankfully, I've been looking, I don't really have any nasty stuff down in the valley of my engine, so no mouse nests or anything like that, so that's good. We got our coolant plug in there where the EGR crossed over. Next steps, we're actually going to reroute this heater hose line here. So we got a hose for that in our kit. But before we do that, I'm going to put on the exhaust manifold blocker plate right there. I believe you used the same 4 bolts that you pulled out to put back in. But if you go look at your SPE lab kit. There's our blocker plate with a brand new metal gasket, which is really nice. The old one that came off looked okay, but we'll go ahead and use our new one and get that on. This kit actually came with 4 new 13mm bolts for this, so that is very nice. Just make sure you got your gasket lined up, and everything should be loose as well, so it goes on easily. I don't like, you might as well do this right after you pull the EGR valve off. Just keep things from falling in that exhaust manifold. We don't want anything going in there that shouldn't be. All right, yeah, so once we got all those threaded, started, we can use our quick gun. Pop those back on. Nothing too crazy tight. We can always come back through and really tighten them up. Okay. So now is where we start with the coolant hoses. So this line is actually going to be removed as well. The kit comes with 2 new hoses for the line on the right. So that line's going to come down and then connect into that coolant fitting right there. I'll show you that hose at the back. The kit gives you a new quick connect fitting, but I'm actually going to use the original one because it's a better clip style quick connect. So this will come off, and this is that new hose they give you. However, and here's your big fitting that goes on the end. Oh, look at that. See? We got a little bit of shavings in there, so check your parts before you use them for sure. Let's grab a pick for that. But this is why they send us these kits, because we're able to test them. See that? We wouldn't want that running through our coolant. So I'm glad I checked and caught that. But we're gonna go check the length of this hose. I've got a hose clamp for this piece here, but a lot of guys run into a problem that these hoses are actually too short that they send you. So let's see if they've actually fixed that problem. I'm gonna say that the hose probably is still a little too short. So this piece goes here, this piece goes to the firewall. Oh, check that out, it's actually the perfect length. So that's awesome. They corrected their hose length issue. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this fitting. I'm gonna put the existing quick connect fitting on there that was on the other hose we took off. So I'll do that real quick. So there we go, we got our new hose made up for the right side. I like using the original clamp style hose clamps instead of the ones that you use with a screwdriver. Anyway, I think they seal a little bit better and it looks more factory. So we have the factory end, the new end that'll plug the line. So we'll go ahead and throw this in the truck. Go ahead and get the far end clamped on. And it just slides and pops. right on, guys, which is awesome. So that's connected. And then our near end, slide right in. And then again, we got the original hose clamp there. So I'll just go ahead and take that, slide it back over on top of the new fitting. Ah, there we go, went too far. Boom. That's all looking good. We're sealed up, guys. Let's do the other one. And there's a little baby 10 millimeter. Let's see if I can get you guys a better shot. Right there. Take that off so you can remove the rest of this hard line hose. And then there's just a clamp style hose clamp down there that you'll pull off, and then looks like we got a wiring harness connector here as well that needs to pop off. Anyway, we'll get that in a second, but just like the other one, I'll pop off the blue fitting. On the far side, I'll reuse it, make ourselves a new line. We got the old line out. This was a little hard to get to down on the bottom side, but once you get that hose clamp down and then wiggle the hose, it pops right off. And then we got this clamp, of course, as well. So pull this bad boy off, do the old switcheroo, and then we'll no longer need that old hose. Again, this has the cheap style hose clamp on it. We're gonna get rid of that. Use the OG hose clamps. Which, be careful because they're a little springy. Boom. There we go. Hose clamp set, and then we'll pull this guy off. Use our new hose clamp. I should probably go grab my flathead screwdriver, but I'm being lazy. So I'm using a pick. No one ever said you had to do what I did. These are all just suggestions. All right, should be able to get that off. There we go. Keep that fitting there. Steal another clamp. I think I'll take that one. There you go. New hose is made. See, there you have it. Let's see if they got this hose length correct. Alrighty. I'm gonna quick connect this into the truck. Boom. And oh yeah, the hoses connect right up. That's awesome. That's what we love to see. Now I gotta get that hose clamp up. It's actually a little tight, guys. I don't love that. I'm gonna see if we can't do something to change that, or at least zip tie it out of the way once it's done. It could be like 2 inches longer. So I don't want it running right next to the exhaust manifold, so I'm actually gonna tuck it between this harness here. Since all that's insulated, pull up the old hose to it, so it's actually got a barrier in between itself and the exhaust manifold. That should be okay for now. I don't love that. I'm probably gonna add a longer hose down the road. Let's go reaching for this low hose clamp. See if we can get it. It's kind of twisted in a strange direction around the old hose. Oh, this wiring harness is getting in my sight line. Oh, I love trying to reach and clamp hose clamps and hoping they stay and then they spring off, and then you gotta start all over, and it's just loads of fun. Ooh, first try? Ooh. Slide that up a little bit more. Heck yeah. First try. I like it. I like it, I like it. All right, we'll leave that be for now. Boom. That's set there. Those are set there. You can see what I mean by that being a little tight. Don't love it, but the hose on the bottom side is like, it's molded, so it's kind of got a little bit of a spring in it with extra room. So remember, this kit comes with the new downpipe off the turbo. So to install that, there's actually a part in the way, and that's this big can sitting behind the turbocharger. So what I need to do is remove these heat shields. I'm actually going to remove that sensor right there by cutting it off and unbolting it like I did the other one. Remember, we already removed that sensor over there, so we have more room to move it around. Once we remove those shields though, we're going to remove the V-band on the back of the turbo to get that SCR off, and then we'll actually take the turbo out to remove that SCR. And look, if you guys are returning members of this channel, you'll know that I'm building a shop right now, and I'm not even done yet, but I'm already busy moving in and using it. But the last step is getting this driveway built. So here we go. We got another load of gravel coming in to fill and level out the whole rest of this, so I actually have a nice driveway and pad to use. It's been a long time coming, guys, but it's really nice to see that it's all finally coming together. This is quite the hill and quite the setup, and I know many of you have mentioned it. It is not an ideal setup by any means, but this is the only spot I could put the shop and the only way I could build the driveway. So making do with what we got. They can't go much further down the hill. It's super hard dirt. I mean, you can see that truck weighs a ton, and it's not sinking in, which is great, but I need this whole pad to be compacted and that hard when it's all said and done. So a little more chip and grind, Phil. Looks like we got some bigger rocks this time. Heck yeah. Love it. More, more, more. Sweet. So I've got this cut. It looks like, yeah, it's an 18. Let's see if I can pop this loose. I know, the compressor line is right in your guys' way, but that's the only way I can really film this. There we go. Boom. That's done. Out. Sensor removed. Now we can pop those heat shields off. Those are all 10 millimeters. Oh, come on. Oh, this is a stretch. Oh. Yeah. This is why you need one of those mechanic like things that you lean on. Boy, that'd be nice. You know what, I'm just gonna use the open-ended wrench because there's not a lot of space there. Okay, open-ended wrench. Come on, buddy. Oh. Man, yeah, this is really quite the strain on your chest. You know, and before I'm done, guys, before anything goes back on, I'm gonna grab my vacuum and vacuum up all the junk and stuff in the engine bay here. Here's one exhaust shield. And now we go to the other side and we'll get the other one. Slowly, slowly, the truck is losing weight. Now the other bolts are right back there. So again, lean over the whole engine bay and hope that you can get to a bolt on an easy angle, which I'm gonna need a little extension. One. Of course, the other one is all the way in the back. No extension. I don't know if I'm even gonna be able to reach it with my quick tool. All right, I should say fit it. Yeah, it fits. Thankfully, it wasn't too tight. I was able to just zip it right off. Boom. Heat shield number 2 done. See, you wouldn't be able to rotate it and get it out like this if you had those sensors in there. So that is why popping those sensors out is important. Maybe I just lied. Stuck on my... Oh. There we go. We're stuck on all sorts of stuff. Actuators, control arms, V-band clamps, capstans. Boom! Got it out. There you go. Okay. Look at that. Look at that big old can back there. Nice big, oops, sorry. I'm telling you, when you see a little jump like that, I got a magnet on the end of my camera. Keeps attaching to everything that's made out of iron. Whoop. See? Sorry about that. All right, cool. We got that exposed. We're gonna loosen up the back V-band clamp right there. Right there. That attaches to the SCR. That'll allow us to loosen it up, but I do believe the turbo has to come out to really get that thing out of here because it's so tight. Oh, 13. Nope, not 13. 12? Or maybe. Oh, yep, they're 12. Ugh. Let's try that again. 12 millimeter. It's like 11. I mean, 12 would have worked, but here we go with 11. Yep, that's it. 11 millimeter. Deep socket for these V-band clamps. And I'm loosening up this one too because I know that the turbo is going to come out as well. So that's there. There we go. V-band on the SCR, which I really loosened up, and I may have to pry a little bit because that's a pretty high temperature area, which the goal of a lot of this endeavor, guys, the goal is to actually reduce temperature in the engine room and in the exhaust overall. The after treatment on these trucks really increases that temperature that's in the engine room, especially right there behind the back of the turbo. So this will be really good for the turbo's longevity and health overall. The engine should run cooler. It's just there's a lot of heat that sits underneath the engine bay because of these after treatment parts. So when you're doing a lot of towing and hauling, the less temperature, the better. The truck runs more efficiently, and you know, again, you get more longevity out of the engine. So that band is loose. We're gonna do a little prying. I think there's a few bolts for the turbo. We'll get to that in a second. That whole system, turbo, all that will come out. There's some turbo oil feed and drain that's got to come out as well. So that'll be the next step. Before we can take the SCR off, we also have to remove the downpipe in the back there. So I'm removing 4 13mm bolts. I also loosened up this V-band clamp back here that's on the SCR, and then we should have already disconnected this connector. But as soon as those are off, that thing should fall right down. And I may have to use a pry bar to loosen up those V-band clamps, but at the very least, these 13mm, once you break them loose, they thread out by hand. I'm also, you know, I've worked on an LML, I've worked on LLY, Duramax now. And what's really neat is seeing all of the sound deadening material they put on these L5Ps. It's pretty interesting. Now this is a totally redesigned engine from the LML block architecture, which is the same block architecture that's on the LMM, LBZ, LLY, and LB7. However, this engine is totally different, even though it's still 6.6 liters of displacement. Total redesign. So for 2017 and newer Duramaxes, it's a brand new engine. This one, you know, again, this applies for 2020s through 2023 in regards to this kit. But it's just interesting to see all the new stuff they've added and how they designed things and what they changed, and in all honesty, how much easier they made it to access different things on the engine. So I love that. All right, that's removed. That's still solid. I'm gonna have to pry this V-band up so it breaks free. Same with the other one that's on the SCR, but we'll break those free. We'll get the SCR loose, and then we can go after the turbo. The turbo specifically, we got a couple oil feed, oil drain bolts to undo. There's 2 10mm down there. There's 2 on this side, and there's two over on this side as well that we'll have to remove before we can lift the turbo off. All right, it looks like the downpipe is loose, which is good. Maybe I can pop that off just with my hand. Oh yeah, see, there we go. There's the downpipe. And now, let's see if I can get this SCR loose. May have to do a little more prying on the V-band. Uh-oh, my other dump truck's showing up too. Oh, come on, baby. Pop loose. Oh, the V-band is sticking. There we go. You guys heard it pop. Yeah. There she goes. Just a few hammer hits. V-bands out. Let's take the other V-band out. There we go. Nice. And I mean, it's a shame. This SCR, so close to being able to come out on its own with the space that's back here, but there's just enough stuff in the way that you got to pull the turbo out. So there we go. We're all loose. Now we'll go for the turbo. Make sure when you pull out these 10 millimeters for the turbo oil feed and oil drain that you keep track of which side they go on, because one side's slightly longer than the other. And you don't want to put them back in. You don't want to put them back in the wrong spots and strip them out. So just be mindful as you do it. I'll snag the rest of these here quick. Maybe efficiently, gracefully, not sure about that. It's never graceful. There's always some sort of struggle involved. A little extension action so I can get down to the oil drain. Which again, 10 millimeter, and it's down here in the bellows. There's one. There's two. I'm gonna grab my handy dandy magnet and pull those out. However, unfortunately, I don't think. Oh yeah, there's steel. That's nice. They are steel. That's good to know. All right, let's flip-flop to the other side and grab those other two bolts. Whoop, you guys can't see. Grab those other two bolts that are right in there behind the clamp. Yep, little wrench it is. Just to be able to get in there and loosen that up. Yeah, that was much easier. It's not super tight, so as soon as you get it loose, you can get it with your fingers. Maybe. There we go. I love this. Turbo is super easy. It's just 4 bolts and they're all angled directly at you. 15 millimeter, and that should pop right up. I removed my charge pipe there. So now I can remove those 4 bolts and that should pop right up. Let's see how easy that is. I already loosened up 2 of them. I'll sneak back here and get the other 2. Maybe I might need a different extension. Maybe. Yeah, it doesn't like that angle. I'm gonna get a little bit different extension. That one did. This one may require this one's gonna require a little bit of a persuasion wrench. Still hasn't quite hit me yet that I'm literally about to pull the turbo out of an L5P Duramax. That's pretty crazy. Oh boy. I'm gonna need the breaker bar for this one, folks. Ooh. Let's see, one more attempt with a little bit longer extension and pulling towards me. Oh, got it. Oh my goodness. That was fun. Oh, that was a lot of fun. There we go. All four. And we have a loose turbo. All right, let me pull these bolts out. There we go. That's done. Pull a few things out of the way. And let's see, these oil fittings are removed. Drain. Oh, did I miss one? No. Maybe? No. Got him. The drain's loose. Let's see. What else am I sitting? Yeah, she's loose, guys. Now I'm just gonna have to muscle it. Woo. All right, here we go. I may have to like literally sit in here to muscle this thing over. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, no bueno. This is all to remove the SCR. Alright, well, maybe with the turbo loose I can just fall it forward. Oh, I missed one of my oil lines. Stand by. Uno mas. There are a couple more on the back of the turbo right there that go to our CCV, which will be gone very shortly. All right, got that last one off. That's actually the one with the longer bolts, so just be mindful of that one. Let's see, what's the best way to do this without just totally... Oh man. One little valiant lift at a time, I suppose. Okay. Well, at least the kit gives you all new seals for everything. Woo. I mean, I guess while we're at it, we'll grab the SCR too, which actually is surprisingly not that heavy. That's good, right? I think. Maybe. Yeah, it's actually not bad at all. Look at that. One hand. Whew. Okay. Well, you get to go in the disregard pile. Bye-bye. And check it. L5P turbo. Sitting on the bench. Got our big old compressor back there. You can't even see it with how sooty it is. And then our actuator for our VGT, variable geometry turbo. I like that design. That's pretty sweet. So we'll leave that as is for now. Like I said, each one of these fittings has new gaskets. Check it. Let's see here. They're all inside this baggie. So we'll replace these when this goes back in the truck. But now that we have the SCR out, look at all that space, guys. That's incredible. And here's that gasket for the turbine. It's gonna get replaced, and then all of these as well. Might as well pull them off now before they go free falling into the engine. All of those little brackets. But yeah, look, my valley's clean, no mouse nests. And then this is where my exhaust comes. So actually I have 2 new up pipes from each exhaust manifold, and now is when we'll actually replace these 2 up pipes. So let's roll back to the back of the truck here real quick and check these bad Larrys out. So here are my 2 up pipes, and they really aren't a whole lot different, but I think they are slightly larger than what's currently on the truck. So a couple new up pipes to increase performance and exhaust flow, which will be sweet. But for right now, let's go remove the stock downpipe. Normally this thing can go out the bottom, but right now I've got the exhaust on there, so let's see. What is in the way currently? I'm not sure. Oh, it appears the bolts that hold it on are currently in the way. Oh, there's a bracket too, huh? That's pretty neat. Yep, alright, well, it's going out the bottom. And to do that, I need to pull my exhaust off, which in another video I removed my stock exhaust, but I had to put it back on the truck for, we'll call it technical reasons. You guys can all guess why I had to put it back on the truck, but for the meantime, it's on the truck. But it's getting my downpipe out quite inconvenient. So I think I'm gonna have to remove that piece of my exhaust right there, and you know, now might be the time to pull the rest of the exhaust off. Oh, okay. I got it. Just had to remove part of my stock exhaust. That's not going back on. There you go. Here's my little wimpy downpipe. And now the new one, let's come back here. Show a little comparison. The new one, which is gonna get a nice little exhaust wrap, literally mounts in the same spot. Look at that bad boy. Look at that weld. Nice job, China. Look at that weld. Heck yeah. Anyway, there's the old one. There's the new one. So this bad Larry should literally, you know, I guess I'll put it up the same way. Sometimes this flange is off, guys. So we're gonna have to see what that looks like. We may have to cut this flange down, but I'm gonna shove it back up and just kind of see how it rests up there. Well, actually, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna wait until I mess with my up pipes. Up pipes first. All right, couple heat shield bolts to pull off while I continue to lay suspended over the engine. Thank God for long arms. I think there's just one heat shield back here. And there's a second bolt all the way down there. How the heck am I gonna get to that? I may be better off getting to it from the bottom side. We'll see here. Excuse me. There we go. There we go. Boom. Oh, of course there's a third. Of course. It's never just two. See if I can get to it from the bottom side. Alrighty, heat shields left and right as you face forward on the truck have been removed. I had to go under the truck to get a few of those bolts, and then I got the rest from above, but our up pipes are entirely exposed now. So now we have 6 13mm bolts to remove those 2 up pipes, and then we'll put new gaskets on them, and I believe we're gonna put those heat shields back on. So those will go back on the truck. Oh, those things are on there. Oh. Tight. Well, let's see. Breaker bar? No. Maybe I can stand in the engine bay? That's not a terrible idea. Maybe it is. Maybe it's a bad idea. This actually isn't bad, guys. Sorry. Let's see. Literally sitting on the radiator. Oh my goodness. All right, we're gonna have to bring out the big guns. Yeah, now I gotta get the other two. It is not fun. All right, take a quick intermission while I fight with these. Just to ensure all this isn't for nothing, that's the new one. That's the old one. You can see it's about 1/2 inch larger diameter than the old up pipes. So this struggle is worth it for sure. Just got to get those bolts out. I'm not gonna lie, guys, every bolt is a battle, and with each one there comes great sacrifice and success. But I've removed 4 of the 6 on the top, and I mean, you can see the back panel there. They give you all this space. However, you know, I don't own any ratcheting tools strong enough to fit within it. So I've been having to squeeze my 1/2 inch impact between the wall and those 13mm bolts, and it's not enough room. So I literally have been like inching to get every single one of them out. I mean, you can look at me right now. It's been a grind. I'm dripping head to toe in sweat, but I mean, that's what these bolts look like after I'm done. So I'm gonna have to replace them. And you know, again, with each battle becomes great sacrifice, but I still have 8 bolts to go. I haven't even done the bottom side. I'm really hoping the bottom is a lot easier to get to. But I got 2 more on the top side on the bottom of the pipes to get to, which is tight. You know, I would recommend if you guys are doing this in your own shop, go ahead and buy yourself one of those like benches that you can physically lay flat on over the hood of your truck. Because no joke, guys, this is, you know, 4.5 feet off the ground, maybe even close to 5 feet. It's not easy to do. I mean, you could pull the front wheels off and drop this down a little bit. It'd be better, but it's just tough. I mean, it's a big engine room, but it's still hard to get to those bolts, especially the ones that have been in a bunch of, been heat soaked a bunch. So anyway, I'm gonna keep grinding on the 13mm bolts that hold the up pipes on, and I'll turn the camera back on when I start removing the ones that are on the bottom side. By the way, guys, if you haven't already, go check out our merchandise store. We've got brand new merchandise. We're always uploading new stuff, new designs, improved designs, what you name it. I've got one of the hats on right now. We've added hats with patches to the website. Go check it out. It is in the shop link on my YouTube channel. You can also go to my website, Boat Restoration by Ben, and check out the merchandise there. Every bit of merchandise that you guys buy helps me out, helps the channel out, and allows us to do super cool projects like this. So go check out the website, go check out all the merchandise we have. Let's get back to the Duramax upgrade. All right, I got this downpipe out. It was a struggle, guys, and I'm gonna tell you, it is a lot of grit. Hang on, let me, jeez. Oh man, every single one of those bolts is torched in there, highly torqued, and I had to use a, let's see, I had to use, this is where a lift would be nice, just a impact ratcheting wrench, bunch of extensions, impact gun, and then a little swivel socket on the end. Each one of those is 13mm. But I got them all out. I was able to reach the bottom 4. So the bottom 3 there, and then the upper one up above the transmission from the bottom side here. So what we're looking at is the transmission to the left, cylinder head up above, and the inlet to our, the outlet to our exhaust manifold on our right side. And to get the last exhaust manifold up pipe bolt, I actually had to remove this bracket that actually mounts right here and holds the downpipe in place. But we're gonna leave that down here until we're ready to put the downpipe back in. But one up pipe done. I'll show you size difference here in a second. So here you go, there's the old pipe and the new pipe side by side. The new pipe is about a ½ inch wider. Really nice welds. Good quality from SPE Lab. The exact same mounts. And I'll show you these new ones, slight bummer, but we actually have to have gaskets installed on the new ones. The old ones, pretty slick, actually had riveted gaskets installed already. But you can just see the inlet diameter difference is shockingly different. Let's see if I can hold the two of them here. So there's actually a ring inside there. I don't know if you guys can see it. So that's about 1.5 inches, and that's a full 2 inches. So a lot more flow from these new up pipes. We'll go ahead and pop off the left side up pipe now. I'm gonna tell you, it's easier to get these 4 lower bolts from underneath, and it's just gonna take a lot of grit. I mean, there's no easy way to get to them. You just have to get your extensions and swivels and really get in there. So not much, whole much more I can tell you. If you have better impact tools in your shop, you'll probably be better off, but I'm working with what I have. So we'll go ahead and get that left up pipe off and then install the new up pipes. Just so you have a better idea, that is what was required to get the up pipes off and to get those 3 bottom 13mm bolts on both sides. I mean, on a lift this would have been easier because I would have been able to put a breaker bar on this. I don't have a breaker bar set. I will be getting one. But hundreds of pounds of force to break those bolts loose. So check it, guys. I got my impact 15mm 3-inch extension, and I'm actually taking off this combining exhaust manifold for the 2 up pipes. So the 2 up pipes come into this exhaust manifold, then it goes to the turbo mounts right on here. These were not torqued down much at all and were really easy to get to. So now that I have these loose, I can literally pull this whole assembly out and remove that last downpipe and take that bolt off without having to careen myself over the whole engine bay and get to that last bolt. If you guys hang out right here for a second, I'll be right back with that exhaust manifold. Boom. Check that out. All right. So there's that exhaust manifold. I had that covered, 4 15mm bolts. And then there's that last up pipe bolt. So I'll pop that off and then we'll put this back in. I'm probably gonna loosely mock up my new up pipes to this in the truck. So everything fits in much easier. And there's that pre-riveted gasket. Like I said, the new kit comes with new gaskets for each side. So you just gotta be a little mindful of putting them on, but all in all, easy peasy. So there's our new exhaust manifold. That one will bolt up right there. Just all in all, this is a much beefier part. Great welds, stainless steel. Gotta love that. I mean, down there, you can really tell the size difference. Pretty cool. All right. Got our new gasket. I think they're both identical. Yep, both sides of gaskets are identical. The top 2 are the same. And the bottom 2 are also the same. So just be careful with these because they're not riveted on. But since I have this manifold off, I can actually mock up this first exhaust piece. So there's the gasket on there. And then I can take my new bolts, mock that up right here on the corner. Nice and easy. And I'm gonna look up the torque spec real quick. I'll let you guys know what that is here in a second. That's mocked up. I'm gonna actually tighten these while it's out of the truck. So, easy peasy, guys. The new torque spec for the bolts is 18 foot-pounds. Let me get myself a little adapter here. I know adding the extension slightly varies the torque, but again, just be careful. 18 foot-pounds, nice little click, and we'll be good to go with all of these bolts. I wish I had this on a vise, but there's 18. You guys hear that? Nice and easy. Didn't feel like 18 coming out, but that's because of all the heat that portion, endured. There we go. So we got them all at 18 for this side. I'll have to do the rest of them in the truck. Alrighty, so here we go. Dropping this guy back into the truck with the new the new stainless down up pipe. Our manifold back in place. Get that lined up nicely. Get those started. Go ahead and torque those down. Nothing crazy. Those are easy. Now for the other up pipe. Let's grab it real quick. Alright, so let's get this next piece in here. One at a time, one bolt at a time. Alright, look at that. Got the new up pipes heading down. Spelab, thank you. They are looking good. Nice and chrome. This thing's starting to look like an upgraded truck. I'm gonna hand thread these the rest of the way in. They're going in nice and easy. Got the gasket in there. And then I will grab the torque wrench, take all those, and then go down below and set in the bolts down below with their gaskets and thread those in by hand and get them prepped. Probably actually before I torque this one down. We'll just go down below and check things out. Okay. Got the pipes and gaskets all threaded up, and now I'm attempting. Everything's an attempt. Nothing is certain. But now I am attempting to torque all of these. Oh, I dropped you. Boom. Up pipes are in. They're torqued down, looking sexy. I loosened my manifold back up there and then retorqued it down just to set all the up pipe bolts as I screwed them in. But take a peek here underneath. We got left side up pipe, all those bolts in. Much easier going in than coming out, that's for sure, guys. And then let's scooch over. The right side is much easier. There you go, nice shot at the right side up pipe there. Now, we'll fit in our down pipe right here. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna do my heat shields. Yeah, we'll put the heat shields on. Both sides. Alrighty, one heat shield. 3 10mm bolts, same ones that came out. And 2 heat shields. Having a little trouble getting the bottom 2 bolts, but I think I just have to bend my heat shield a little bit and I'll be able to get to them. That one takes 4 10mm bolts, same one that came out. All right, it's downpipe time. Went ahead and pre-wrapped it with my heat wrap, something like that. But first, I've been told that this mating surface possibly has to be modified due to the amount of flange they left on this. So, good thing I have my turbo sitting right out here, because I can actually pre-test this. let's see. This isn't exactly how it'll made up in the truck, but oh, actually, that works just fine. Look at that. Nice. And it doesn't interfere with my compressor wheel at all. Is that a mate flush? Oh yeah. It's as flush can be. Alright, sweet. Well, I can leave that be. Let's take this guy over. And let's slip him into the truck. Just going, I think I can go down. Or maybe I have to come up from the bottom side. Let's see here. I may have to come up from the bottom, guys. Stand by. Nope, it fits. All right, cool. Fits just fine. Sweet. So I'm actually gonna leave that right there where it is. Go ahead and grab my turbo. Well, and real quick, because I have the truck, or the turbo out of the truck, I'm actually going to be installing a blocker plate right here where the old CCV connector hose used to go into our turbo inlet. This is actually what provided boost pressure to the CCV. I'll explain that later, but they provide this nice blocker plate for this port here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and get that installed. It's much easier to do while it's on the workbench. A couple 10mm bolts come with the kit and that blocker plate right on the outlet of the turbo. All right, make sure we place our new gasket for the turbo base. That should just slip right on to those two pins that are on there already. Maybe I got one. Come on. I might have to waller out that hole or just tap it a little bit. One of them's giving me a hard time. Okay. There we go. All right. There's the new gasket. Let's bring in the turbo. This is the tough part. This is the tough, heavy part. All right, gotta get my whole body in here to set this guy back in. All right, got my oil line still in here. I know you guys can't see a lot. I got my V-band pre-prepped on the new downpipe. So let's muscle this guy up and over and in. Just like that. Let's make sure we actually get our foot out and make sure that our oil line isn't being kinked. Yep, there we go. Where's our other one? It's down below there. Yep, okay, it's out. And then this thing should nice locate on its pins. Yep, just like that. All right, I like it. I'm gonna go ahead and get my bolts on here so I can set that, and we'll get it fixed. All right, crew, I have the turbo in place. I got the lower where is it? I got the lower oil line on. Where is it? Can you see it down there? It's right down there. I got the two 10mm bolts back in. Remember, that gasket's riveted on there, so you don't have to worry about a gasket. Got that on. I got all my turbine manifold bolts in and semi-tight, so it's secured down. Made sure that these loose oil lines here aren't pinched. So I got the front one and the back one back there loose, and then I fitted up my V-band to my downpipe, so the downpipe can't come off. The V-band is somewhat loose because I know I'm going to have to tilt that downpipe up down below when I install the support bracket down there. But that's how it sits in the truck. A lot less hardware in there than before. And remember, these oil lines have new gaskets in the kit, so I'm gonna go grab those new gaskets, fit up the 10mm bolts. Remember, I said there were longer bolts and shorter bolts for these oil lines. Turns out these bolts here for that blocker plate are the shorter lines, and here is that, this is that line here that would have gone on the back of the turbo there, but this whole CCV is going to come off, so don't have to worry about that. And don't worry, I can still take the CCV off with the turbo on. So, well, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, getting this CCV out is not sunshines and roses. I would suggest buying the security bits instead of using easy outs. I just spent an hour getting all four bolts out with easy outs, and there it is. I left the OG hose on the intake horn, which is going to be reused. And now we've got our two openings down there. One's going to be our oil fill, and one's going to be our nice little vent for the crankcase. So yeah, here, let me get this off of here and show you on the bench. Here's my easy out tool. A lot of drilling, a lot of patience, a lot of heat. But all four of those bolts came out. I mean, you can see them here. There's one. And it looks like a star bit, but it's not. Here's another one. Just totally beveled out. And then here's another one. Look at that. Well, they had to drill an old custom hole down the middle. And then the last one in the back corner was really hard to get to. I had to use a swivel to actually get to it with my extractor bit, but I finally got it out with enough heat and wiggling. But there you go. There's the old CCV. This little pressure guy right here is what fails, and you can get turbo pressure, boost pressure into your crankcase, which you do not want. So this guy goes into the pit of doom. The old oil fill comes out as well. Accidentally broke that in this process. And now we've got the two new stems. So we got, this will be our new oil fill, and this will be our new crankcase vent. So let's get them cleaned up and on the truck, and I'll show you guys. All right, really nice machined aluminum. Only thing I had to do here was install this fitting. Make sure your bevel is facing out and there's a gasket on this side. So this has to face out to install this L bracket or 90. And then it comes with two new pieces of hardware for this. Both pieces I'm about to put on here are pre-gasketed. Just make sure those gaskets are seated nicely in here. And all we're gonna do is come around. All we're gonna do here is come around. Look, here's my oil fill as well. Really nice machined aluminum. SPE Lab, pre-gasketed. We're gonna reuse a couple bolts for that. But, oh, and yes, in between all of this work, I bought one of those fancy roller dollies where I can actually lean over the engine bay and get in here nicely. So anyway, I cleaned up both surfaces. Let's take that crankcase vented piece first. Bring that over. This guy's gonna set right down here, just like that. Start hand threading the bolts in. Make sure they start to thread. Yep, there we go. Nice and easy. Got a couple of 9 Allen keys there. And before that is super tight. I'm gonna go ahead and thread these down as far as they can. They're threading in nicely by hand, so don't force them, guys. Remember, you don't need a lot of pressure on this. Just nice little gaskets down there, so all good. And before I get all those all the way in, I'm gonna take our 90 here, or our L, and start this thread here. It's gonna stay out of the way of the oil fill, but let's just get him started. I'll come back and tighten him once I have the 2 Allen keys there tightened, but I just want him in there for spacing purposes, so he can sit like that. And then my oil fill right here, again, make sure the gasket's seated fine. Face that Spelab label out, and that's just gonna sit right in here on top of that secondary spot. So we'll leave that for a second. I'm gonna move my charge pipe here so it's just floating there so you guys can see. I'm gonna start my 2 bolts. All right, I got both those bad boys in. I actually took my L out so I could get my other bolt tightened on the Spelab oil fill. But now that those are tight, you know, just the standard Allen keys back here. Be careful, I had to use a little bit of a swivel socket to get to that. And then just standard 10mm, reused a couple bolts. Everything's nice and solid. Now I'm gonna reattach this hose with a factory hose clamp to my L after I get it tight. So we'll get my L in here and get it threaded by hand first so I can get the correct angle. There we go. Come in here with my wrench, give it a quick turn, make that tight. Doesn't have to be crazy tight. I think that's plenty good. And then put my hose clamp on here. Ooh, I'm gonna have to use a bigger one, guys. Yeah, I'll use a bigger hose clamp. Well, there you go. I found a bigger conventional hose clamp. Got that on there, got that on my 90-degree fitting. Fitting's tight. The back crankcase vent, it's all good to go. And then our oil fill, this nice machined aluminum, which I'm actually just about to change my oil after I'm all done with this. So this will be perfect to use it. Gasketed, of course. I love that, and the threads are perfect. I like that a lot. Boom. All right, we'll get this bad boy back on my charge pipe. We'll get the hose, or this clamp tightened back up, and we are done with the CCV install. That's all tight. I'm gonna tighten down my turbo housing bolts. I'm gonna put on my oil lines, and at that point, we can probably put our Y-bridge back on. I already redid the fuel pressure regulator connector that I messed up, so that'll clip back in right there. So it'll feed underneath here and then go back in after I get my Y-bridge back on. But yeah, we are moving in the right direction. Oh, and believe it or not, my little creeper where I can lean over the engine, like here, just showed up. So I may put that together to finish up that job. But look at all those parts that came off. That's a lot of hardware, guys. Still need to put this equipment back on, the Y-bridge, alternator, intake. But the new parts are dwindling. What we've got left over is some stuff for the CCV reroute, exhaust clamps, a few more gaskets. But yeah, I need 2 of these new oil gaskets for the truck, so I'm gonna go put those on right now. You know, each one of these guys I am hand tightening before I even touch it with a wrench. And honestly, these things just need to be snug. And I'm talking about the oil line feed and return for the turbo. Start them by hand, hold the new gasket in, start both the bolts by hand. You can get both your hands in there to help guide things and wiggle things around. Once they're started by hand, you can take them almost all the way in, finger tight, and then just take a nice little open-ended wrench to them to secure them down. It's probably no more than 5 or 6 foot-pounds. It may be 8, but it's nothing more than that. Alright. Boom. Oil line complete, and tighten with the wrench and that'll be complete. And our blocker plate complete. That's good to go. We're gonna go put our brace now on the downpipe. So here's our plate. Remember, I was showing this to you guys earlier. But this is a plate that bolts up somewhere down here, right here, and holds up our exhaust manifold. So I'm bolt this plate up real quick, throw the bolts in there to stabilize it, and then I'll go up and tighten up the downpipe. And of course, my 10 millimeters there just laying on the floor to put those 2 bolt holes back together. Thankfully, they give you a lot of room in these holes. Alright, that's connected. Sorry, those are 2 13 millimeter bolts. But we're just gonna leave this loose. I even ran my connecting bolts through there as well. So that's all set in place. So now I can go up top and tighten the downpipe. I'm gonna leave that as is until I install the exhaust on here. There is a piece for the 5-inch exhaust that actually bolts right up to this surface right here. Alright, this thing can't go anywhere. It's seated. Just make sure our V-band is straight. 11 millimeter deep well socket. Straighten this thing up and drive it home. Good and tight. I'll look up a torque spec on that and come back to it. There we go. All right, now we're gonna take our Y-bridge, put our Y-bridge back in there, but remember, take your rags out, guys. Let's see. Oh, I gotta make sure this wiring harness is out of the way, and any soot they got in there is gone too. But we should be good to go. Everything's pulled forward. Alrighty. Boom, that thing's a lot easier to put in there than it was to take out. A lot less stuff in the way. Then we got a nice, oh, there we go. Then we got a nice little, Spelab blocker plate where our old throttle went in for EGR. So we used the original bolts for that, 2 13 millimeters that came off with it. It's got a brand new gasket as well, and then the 8 10 mil bolts that go back into the Y-bridge. So that just centers itself on its gaskets that are there already. You can go ahead and get those bolts all set up one at a time. Remember, they have those little plastic gaskets on there, so they're like self-centering plastic pieces. So make sure you guys get those in there again too, so everything's uniform. Start them all by hand, and then come back with the tools. a lot easier without a bunch of stuff in the way. I'll tell you what, guys. Boom. And this last one is way in the back. Let's see if I can get to it without totally screwing this up. Gentle. Gentle. Got it. All right, cool. That one's gonna be done with the tool. All right. Remember this back left one has to be hand threaded, and then you're gonna have to use an open-ended wrench to do that. Just give them a little twist, nothing crazy. Yeah, and these are those kind of bolts that are, you know, less than 10 foot-pounds. They've got a nice rubber gasket down there to seal them. Oh. And now the hand-threaded one. Fun, fun. All the way down. And a little open-ended wrench action. Ow. Cool. Y-bridge is in. Now we can start feathering our wiring harness back in place. I believe this one heads back this direction. This one goes back, up, and over. Now the fun part's figuring out where everything goes again. One little piece by piece. And some of it won't hook back up to anything because that stuff is no longer on the truck. So before I get too crazy, I know I have to put my AC compressor and my alternator back on, but I just want to make sure everything has its place first before I go too crazy. Let's see, this goes back up here. This goes back up here. This goes back into turbo vane. Actuator. Again, you're gonna have some stuff that doesn't hook up to anything anymore, guys. That's okay. Let's see here. Those are open. That's connected. Let's get our intake back on here before I put my alternator back in. So that guy slides down there. And before I do him, I need to hook my pressure regulator back up, because remember I damaged that taking it out. So where is that connector? That connector is here. let's see. The connector's right here, guys. Feed it down. Down and around. Let's see, no, it came through the back side here, so pull it back out. I got plenty extra line this time. It can go down beside my coolant pipe and then connect right into the back side of my fuel pressure regulator. Just like that, maybe. Maybe. I need a different angle. Yeah, here we go. Boom. Fuel pressure regulator. Wire is connected. Beautiful. All right, now what we can do is throw let's see here. This is going to go up here. Flipped around, I think. Oh, wrong way. It was the right way. Boom. And then our air intake horn. Start threading those. Those are 13 millimeter. That horn should just mate right up to the turbo inlet again. Nice. Hand threaded all the way in. Nice, okay. Just real quick while I have it, pull this compressor over. Let's make sure that guy will sit back in place as needed. Nice, all right, cool. Yep, that will. So, looking good, guys. Set that there. Grab a 13 millimeter. Should be able to rip and rip both of these. There's one. And without causing too much pandemonium, I think I can get number two without an extension. Here we go. Alright, I do need a small extension for that one. Just snug. Boom. And snug. All right. Nice. It's on there nicely. I can set up my AC compressor. Remember that one bolt has to stay in there because it won't come out. So that bolt's in the corner, if you remember. And it's a pain, you gotta use a singular wrench to do it. It's just a tight spot, so, you know, one little turn at a time. Thread that thing down by itself by hand all the way for the compressor. and then go to the town on the rest of it. Using one hand to jiggle, one hand to thread. You know, what I should have done is just cut that stud off, but I didn't. I left it. Oh well. I'm not going to tighten it nearly as tight as it was last time. So it'll be much easier to get out in the future if needed. Everything's down. Oh yeah. Yeah. I got my other wiring harness. I'll put that in a second. I believe this goes here, and this one goes here. Let me get the alternator in on the other side. Prop the alternator up, and boom. I'll get the belt in a second. Get my bolts on there. Oh, I think it's better if I lean over. Yeah. Got my fan shroud off again. Let's get that bolt in. All right, we're on the home stretch here, guys. We got our wiring harness back up, AC compressor bolted in, alternator bolted in with our belt back on. Remember this big old pulley tensioner down below there with a 1/2 inch socket, square socket. Push it down, you detension the belt. Just make sure all your ribs line back up on all your pulleys. There's 2 belt drives here, but you're only gonna be messing with the one. So now, let's see. I got my turbo coolant hose back on. I actually put the factory one back in because I liked it, and then I reused one of the hoses here. I had to use one hose clamp, and then I was able to use the factory hoses for the rest. So that's in. I had to get rid of one of the coolant hoses. Still some loose plugs back here. We'll deal with those in a second. I reconnected my charge pipe to my throttle intake for my Y-bridge. So that's back on, and like I said, I got a few more connectors to hook up, as well as my positive battery wire that goes to the alternator. So we're close. Let's see, I'm gonna throw my air intake back on here, get that plumbed back in with a nice little Duramax 6.6 HD box. So I gotta remove a bolt over here. This guy should just set right over the top again, and then the pipe should go right over my turbo inlet pipe. Couple hose clamps. I loosened both of them up to make it easy. So that guy goes there. This guy goes back on its bolt. Twist it a little bit, making sure everything seats up right. Put this guy back on here. It's gonna go back over and down to our air box. We'll grab our impact drill, tighten all those down. I'll throw this nut on here. that guy down, 13 millimeter. And last thing will be this pipe here, CCV. I'm waiting on some self-tappers or self-out screws to remove the CCV. So I'll do that next, but for right now, we're gonna put it all back together and fire it up. All right, fit all of our connectors back up as needed. Like I said, guys, you're gonna have some that don't go anywhere anymore, so don't worry about that. Just make sure you match up all the ones that do have a spot they clip into. Boom. Let's see, down here, nothing's right now. Let's tighten this guy up while I got it here. Tighten this guy up while it's on the intake horn. All right, all good. Yeah, that looks right. Seated on its flange. Oh. This guy's good. That's good. Let's see, a couple more connectors. This guy's connected. This guy pops in here, it looks like. These guys hang loose. I got a connector that comes down here, down low to our charge pipe. So I'm going to connect that guy back here. I believe it's that connector. It's slid on like it was supposed to. And let's see. Got nothing going to our pipes down here. I got a couple loose ones here as well. Let's see, our wire that runs to our alternator, our positive wire. Bring it up here, set it on its post. That guy seems to be happy. Let's see. That is I think that's a 17 or something. Anyway, I'll go grab that in a second. Tighten it back down. Loose, loose, loose. Let's just run through, make sure there's no other connectors I'm missing. There might be a connector that goes onto the end of my fuel rail. Nope. That's all fine. Alternator bolt. I got too big of a size, didn't I? Yeah, that's all right. Oh well. Tighten this guy back down. Just not too tight. That guy's back down there. Loose connector, loose connector. That's okay. Tuck those guys back. This guy went around this wire before. I'll grab a new zip tie for that. Let's see, I'm actually going to put this connector above. Okay, maybe. Anyway, I'll finish up connecting all my connectors here. And then get my air box on. Oh, we'll grab the air box real quick. Get our air box back in here. Let's see. Yep. Alright. Pop it over. Come on. There she goes. Alright. We're on. Oh, I got a couple nuts that I left on their posts, of course. Gonna take those off. Okay, hang on. Alright, got the nut off. Let's try this again. Ow. Oh, of course, drop the nut. Trying to do too many things at once. Ow. Honestly, guys, I don't even know where that went. That thing may be nutless now. Anyway, got that on. We got a, looks like a, there is a wiring harness here somewhere. And I believe there's a connector. Yep. It needs to connect to mass airflow sensor. So we got that on there. Put this guy back in spot. Boom. Oh, KMOS. A little tighty-whitey here. I'd like to get a better grip on this. Ah, there we go. Oh, that could have been bad. Alright, done. Done. Pop that in. That's popped in. Sensor's hooked up. Nothing there. Here's a post. Put that post back in the air box. Yep, okay. The truck will yell at me if I didn't connect anything back up properly, I suppose. A lot of loose wires sitting in here, guys, that are no longer needed, which is pretty cool. Alright, that's good, that's good. Good, good. Nothing here that needs to be hooked up. Nothing on the turbo anymore. Nope, nope. AC compressor line. Throw that clip back on there. I can just chill. I can chill. Okay. Man, that's a bummer I dropped that nut for the air box. All right, so there we go. That is how she looks. EGR upgrade complete. Downpipe, up pipes, SPE lab, blocker plates, coolant hose bypassed, Y-bridge, the compressor outlet. I'll come back for my CCV. No longer need boost pressure in there. This will all get removed. We got our wiring harness hooked back up. Connectors reattached. Alternator back up. Yeah, wow. We are looking good. I think the only things I need to do now is put coolant back in the coolant reservoirs, which I salvaged in my buckets, and then hook my batteries back up. Nice. Pour your coolant back in. Try not to make a mess. You're gonna make a little bit of a mess. All right, and you're always gonna need a little extra, so. And then, to get all that air that you introduced to your system, milk your radiator hose for a little while. So I sit there and pump this thing. Now milk the cow. You can hear all the bubbles. You can slowly feel that hose start to get filled with coolant again. Oh yeah, there it goes. I'm gonna have to add another jug or so in the reservoir there. But look down below, make sure you don't have any leaks. They're looking good. I made sure to tighten up that radiator drain plug. And then once we fire up, we'll check all these bypass hoses and all that kind of stuff too, as things are running. But let's see. Let's connect our battery cables. Where's our one? Battery cable. Battery, there we go. Uno. Whoop. A couple sparks flying. Uno. Oop, I heard it. Heard the truck tick on. There we go. So we got one guy connected there. We'll connect the other guy here. Let's see, we didn't connect our positive. We left that. Here's our other negative though, so we'll pull that over. Throw that guy down there. I might need an extension. Yeah, I need an extension to get that guy. All right, guys, we are locked and loaded. Back in the truck. Like I said, I might have some. This thing's been off for about 4 days. It took me about 3 days to do this whole project. So one last look. Batteries are hooked up. I'm gonna have to add some more coolant. We know that. We'll leave that open for right now. Turbo, this was boost pressure line to our CCV. We're leaving that off for right now. We're gonna do a quick fire up. This is literally just downpipe back from the turbo, guys. And I've never heard what this sounds like in person. So it's literally just gonna be that downpipe there, straight to the shop floor. So let's do a quick fire up. I'm gonna set you guys over here and we'll see what this truck sounds like firing up for the first time. Literally straight pipe. All right, no dice on the first start. I'm wondering if my fuel pressure regulator is slightly upset. I can access it from right here. So let me mess with that real quick, guys, and I'll see what's going on. All right, live action. Part of me thought the no start was because of my fuel pressure regulator, where I accidentally cut the cord, replaced it with a new connector. I just redid that. So now I'm back in the truck and we're gonna press and hold that for 10 seconds. I've got my scanner hooked up with my MPVI3 tool from HP Tuner, and we're gonna see what's going on. Yeah, I'm throwing a bunch of codes. Turn that off. We're gonna connect to the vehicle. Let's see here. Connect to vehicle. We're connecting. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we got codes. All right. We are connected. We're gonna run scanner. We're gonna read our DTCs. We got a boost pressure issue, fuel system issue. And hang on, let me get rid of this door. There we go. So invalid data, fuel pressure regulator control, engine coolant temp, fuel pressure sensor, crankshaft position. All right, so all sorts of codes because things were unplugged. We are gonna clear DTCs, which that just ripped everything there. All right, we're gonna read DTCs again. Everything came back, pending current, old, permanent history. Old. So I'm gonna clear them one more time. All right, and now I'm gonna try and fire up the truck. Nothing. All right, so let's press and hold this again, get this guy back on. So clearly I'm having a issue with some connectors, so I'm gonna go in and reconnect all my connectors on the engine. Well guys, I am a bit of a misstep here. I did not connect these two wires, plugs, to the ones up front here. I thought they just were left unconnected. I had them ran the wrong direction. I had them laying back here where the EGR was. I was throwing fuel rail pressure codes, engine coolant codes, crankcase codes, or crankshaft position codes, crankshaft position codes, all the above. So I'm really hoping those two connected solves our problem. I did a full battery disconnect, reconnect. So let's hop back in the truck. Let's try this again. So I'm gonna hold this for 10 seconds. And I think the truck should be much happier. Now let's scan. Pull up our diagnostic codes, read DTCs. Still got a few things incomplete. Clear. We cleared everything. Boom, boom. All right. Nothing's active, so that's good. Exit. I'm gonna run engine data. Let's see if that freed up a few things. Oh yeah, fuel rail pressure's back. Oh buddy. All right, let's see if this fires up, guys. Oh! It just did. Oil pressure, good. Oh boy, guys. Oh. Oh boy. Just checking for leaks real quick. No oil leaks. Listen to that. Oh man. This thing's a damn tractor now. Wow. All right, I'm gonna shut it off real quick. Let you guys hear that for real again. Oh man, that is raw. All right, stand by. Yeah, okay. That is a game changer. Look at that. All right. Everything's looking good. Let's go check our computer here. All right. Let's see. We unplugged, it's exhaust gas temp. Woo! Let's see if changing our tunes changes anything, guys. So we'll go back on 2. That's 3. That's 4. All right, so no exhaust note changes. All right, we're back in tune 2. Now let's go do our scanner, read codes again. Permanent. Hold, that's clear. Exit. Good to go. No codes on the truck. Well then, now that that's resolved, I'm gonna top off my coolant here. I'll let it run for a second, so let that bubble off. Milk my hose a little bit more. There she goes. Yeah. Beautiful. And so far, no leaks. We cleared all of our codes, checked all the connectors. I'm gonna check my V-band one more time. I think I need to tighten that up just a little bit. Downpipe's good. Up pipes are good. Everything looks all set. Last thing, CCV, we'll get to that. But now that all the hard engine work is done, we can get in here and we can put on the legit exhaust pipe out the back, the 5-inch straight pipe that Spelab has provided. So let's rip through that real quick, and we'll have a fully upgraded 2021 L5P Duramax. And I'm sure there's still many things you could do to these trucks. However, that is the big nitty gritty, is your up pipe, EGR upgrade, CCV upgrade, down pipes, sorry, up pipes, down pipe. Tune the truck first, of course, and then an aftermarket exhaust. So I know there's diff covers, there are oil pans, all of that will happen in due time, but for right now, this is the Spelab upgraded kit for a 2020 to 2023 Duramax, and I could not be happier with how that sounds. Sounds like a real truck now. And not gonna lie, I definitely see a muffler in my future, because that is really loud, and I have no doubt will be quite annoying for towing on long road trips. All right, let's jump into the exhaust install. Well, just to give you guys a quick visual, I have the aftermarket 5-inch Spelab exhaust laid out next to the truck. So that is the stock exhaust. The end pipe's gonna be the same size, so that's a 5-inch end pipe with the Venturi that Chevy does. But anyway, here it is laid out. So this is a massive pipe. I mean, hand size, 5 inches. Guys go bigger than that. I don't know why you ever would, but really nice stainless steel. The bends are nice. The welds are in good shape. We got our over axle, nice stainless steel. Exhaust hangers. Look at that. And then, just to show you guys, the downpipe connector piece with our flange and bolting points there is a 4-inch pipe, but then it comes back and it necks into the 5-inch right about here, and then depending on your chassis length, they actually will send you a couple extensions. So I'm not sure if I'll need these yet or not. It looks pretty dang close. I'm thinking I'm gonna need the small extension just to get this up another foot, because I have the proper crew cab, or 4-door, not the short crew cab. So anyway, they give you all the stainless steel clamps, along the way. And then right now I'm going to put on the straight pipe exhaust, but I am going to add a muffler since this will be a towing truck, and I don't want to hear the drone of a 5-inch exhaust on the highway all the time, but I promise it will still sound good. So here it is. We'll drop the stock exhaust out. You guys already saw that. We don't need to show it again. It's in the first video that I did on this truck. And then piece by piece, front to back, we'll install this aftermarket stainless steel SPE Lab 5-inch exhaust. This thing's gonna sound rowdy. Okay, the thing that's most important about this first piece is, one, put this far end in first and then push the flanged in with the bolt up plate right in this section here. So you're gonna have to bend this hose out of the way. But what you wanna make sure you have is there's a stock exhaust, or gasket they call it, but it's a flange. It actually, the tapered edge faces down, and then there's an insert edge that'll go up into the downpipe up there. You want to reuse that, so make sure that's up in there. You can rest it on the flange on the new piece if you need to, if it doesn't stay by itself, but that piece has to be there to seal this exhaust pipe. And then all I did was I got my 4 bolts on there, or my 4 nuts, same nuts that came off of it. And then I'm going to position this and tighten those 4 nuts up, make sure my gasket is crimped properly via the flange, and then I'll move on and work my way on back. But that first one's important, and then of course we have reuse our stock exhaust hanger right here. We're going to reuse all of our stock exhaust hangers, and this gives us the ability to move around some too as we put on the next pieces. All right, moving on to the next piece here. So I've got my cross member removed. Whoops, my foot hit that. That was one of the extensions. I got my cross member removed where the def tank was. So that's gonna stay out for now. I am gonna put that back in, but it makes it a lot easier to do this. So I can actually push this guy up over the arch here, and then before I seat that, actually I'm gonna grab my 4-inch exhaust flange so you guys can see. I put my exhaust flange on here, and that pipe wedged itself in there, so I want to make sure none of this is touching or resting on any beams, because I don't want rattles. So this is where positioning by hand and then holding to push this pipe all the way in, adjust my flange. I guess I need to let out some more. All right, that flange is set for now, from my 4-inch to 5-inch. And then I set it so this pipe is clearing that bar, and then we're resting on our hanger there. So now we can go back. I'm actually gonna put my rear exhaust on now. That'll tell me what kind of spacer I may need in between here, because this is room for a muffler or the straight pipe. One piece at a time, guys. This comes in 2 different pieces. So that's our back piece, and then our front over axle piece. So I'm gonna do the over axle piece first. This should be pretty simple because there's no extremities hanging from these pieces anymore, like the old exhaust had. So there's that. I'll show you on the camera in a second, but you reuse the, if you're facing forward, the leftmost exhaust hanger that's down there. Slide it into that piece and hang it from the hanger that's right there. And I grease up all my hanger connectors before I even put anything together. It's the only way to do it. Yeah, there we go. Otherwise you're fighting it the whole time. So there you go. That's how it sits. Oh, I forgot to do my flange. That's all right, I'll bolt both sides. There you go, there's the rear piece. My exhaust hanger over axle. That actually sits at a really nice tucked away angle out the back. I like that a lot. Sometimes these things droop. And it's no bueno. Yeah, I'm gonna have to loosen that up. That's all right. And then you'll see here on the front side. So I got a long hanger there. So it hangs on there on the well, in this frame, the right hanger, but when you're facing forward, it's the leftmost hanger. And then we got our big old 5-inch pipe. So now we'll look forward and we'll see what kind of extension we need to connect these two pieces. I'm thinking the muffler delete pipe and the foot long pipe. Oh man, guys, I may have to use the longer extension. This is what it's looking like. Lots of flanges. This is just a tedious part. This kind of puzzle piece and everything together. Yeah, that feels a lot more correctamundo. But how do I get it on here? Do I have to disconnect I may have to disconnect a hanger, guys. But I didn't know what size of adapter it wanted, so either way, we're getting there. Okay. All right. Oh, nice. Okay. That slid on nicely. We'll get the back. Now leave that how they are. Give it a little bit of tension. Not a ton. All right, let's go to the back. I don't know which side I want this piece on. I may have to put it down like that, which is fine. Yep, it slid right on there. I should be able to get right to my exhaust hanger. All right, exhaust hanger is in. See that? Boom. Keep our flange there. All right, now let's go around and tighten some things up. Everything's got some good space. And I like the angle of the exhaust here, so. Well, there you have it, guys. Everything is bolted up. 3.5 inch downpipe, 4-inch pipe to the 5-inch transition, and then 5 inches straight piped all the way back with a couple spacers. Again, like I said, that's gonna get swapped with a muffler here shortly. Nice stainless seal, everything's solid, and then my exhaust pipe that comes out right at the back here. I may adjust my angle just slightly, but for right now I kind of like it angled down a touch. But everything's looking good. We're gonna fire this thing up, see what she sounds like. Heck yeah. That actually sounds really good. have it, guys. Full upgrade kits from Spelab, EGR delete, CCV delete. We've got the up pipes, the down pipes, and the aftermarket 5-inch exhaust from the downpipe all the way back. She is running like a top, tuned and ready to be an awesome workhorse for all of the boat repair and restoration hauling work that I'll be doing. Okay, if you guys like this content, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Here comes more boat stuff. We're done with the truck stuff for now. Thank you guys for tuning in for that long video, but I wanted to show as much as the nitty-gritty of these installs as I could. So thank you, Spelab, and we're gonna get out of here and go for a drive. All right, guys, take it easy.